Greetings. Love that. Booming voice. Greetings. Yes, family, we are back. But I won't do it. Yeah, as I was saying before, we went for that 5-minute break, or maybe longer. That we have a brilliant presentation coming. And wait, can you not hear me? Let me know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, we've got a brilliant presentation coming up to do with nutrition. And as Joe Dash was saying, as Wolf was saying in the poetry, and as Charlotte Brown was saying in her presentation, the importance of diet and health. And who better to deliver that than the naturally you coach? So, for even those that are talking, can we give respect and big up and rise up Leah Salmon? Can you not hear me? Can you hear me? Big up my school. African market, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Alright, I was just making sure because I was talking and I wasn't getting a response, so I was just making sure. Can the whole entire room give an African noise and a big up for our Empress, Leah Salmon?
Greetings, family. Greetings. Okay, my name is Leah Salmon, the Naturally You coach. Thank you very much to Auntie G for allowing me to speak to your audience today. Rise up, Auntie G. Big applause for Auntie G. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about rebuilding our nation through our sisters' health. Sound interesting?
Yes.
Yeah? Alright, so. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing with you who I am, our affirmation for today. So we're going to be doing some call and response. Can we do that?
Yeah!
Right. Why our sisters' health is so important, how sisters can rebuild our future, integration, and 5 steps to securing our future. Sound good?
Yeah!
Alright. Okay, so who am I? I'm a homeschooling mother of 6 children and 1 angel. I'm a wife to 1. I'm a nutritionist, a speaker, a best-selling author of 6 books. I'm the editor of the Naturally You magazine, creator of the Naturally You Day, which is going to be at the 11th of June this year. I'm also the creator of Teaching Our Own, the Black Homeschooling Fair, and Avenue University. And I'm a supporter of our beautiful royal black family, especially our sisters. Now when I'm talking about our royal family, I'm not talking about people sitting on thrones being served. I'm talking about each and every person of colour in this room right now. You are all royalty, you've descended from royalty, and we will be going back to royalty. Understood?
Yes!
Understood?
Yes!
Alright. Okay, you can find more about me at my website, thenaturallyyoucoach.com. Okay, and today, our positive affirmation is going to be, heal our sisters, heal our nation. So I say, heal our sisters, you say, heal our nation. Can we practice that?
Yeah!
Alright, heal our sisters,
Heal our nation!
heal our sisters,
Heal our nation!
heal our sisters.
Heal our nation!
Alright, thank you. Right, now, even though this talk is about our sisters, to our brothers, and I know most of you wish you could look like this, but don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Soon will come. Alright. Yeah. To our brothers, work together. When you see the statues in ancient Egypt, it's not the woman sitting down somewhere with the man on the throne. You always have the husband and wife sitting next to each other. So, brothers, we know that you are the kings, the princes, and the rulers of our nation. And there are plenty of organizations and brothers out there who are there for you. But at the beginning of this year, I decided to make it my mission to help the black women. Because I am a black woman and I understand the struggles that we go through. So this is one of the things that I've committed to. And in fact, my specific goal is that in the next 3 years, I want to be helping 10,000 black women a month to improve their life and health naturally. And that's something that I'm going to be asking for the support of the community in. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's an expression that says, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Who's heard that expression? Right. Now what that expression means is the person who is raising our children determines the character of that child. And therefore they influence the type of society that's going to be the next generation. Therefore, if we want to secure our future, we need to be supporting our mothers, our black women who will turn into mothers. And when we support the black woman, not only are we helping her, we're helping the children and we're helping the men. Does that make sense? So again, it's nothing of separation. It's about, this is one of the things, because there's many avenues that we can go down to support and build our nation and ensure our future. But one of the things that we can do is focus on the nourishment, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally of our women, so that we can do more to ensure the survival of our race and the development of our race. We want our race to flourish. We don't want our race to just be in the same situation that we're in. We don't want no incremental improvement. We want exponential improvement in our next generation. Because at the moment, we need a savior. And the helping hand that we need is at the end of our own arms. We're not talking about looking outwards, which is what a lot of religions do recommend. You look outwards to someone else. The helping hand we need is at the end of our own arm. And we can ensure that our next generation doesn't have to suffer the way we see our current generation suffering now. Does that make sense? Alright. Okay, so some of the challenges that our society is facing right now, our nation is facing right now, some of the challenges is that we're seeing a rise in knife and gun crime. We're seeing a rise in the rate that our brothers are being imprisoned. In fact, at the beginning of the year, I was told by a social worker that they've opened up 3 new prisons. And in total, those prisons could hold roughly 200,000 inmates. And they opened them with haste because they knew they were going to fill them. They know they're going to, it's not by accident that our brothers are ending up in prison. It's orchestrated. And again, the more that we do as black women and mothers, we can help to reverse that statistic. We're also seeing a rise in mental health challenges in our community. We're seeing a rise in fibroids, diabetes, cancers, childhood allergies, autism and obesity. And in the school to prison pipeline, which is not black mothers or black parents being, what's the word? When you think something's happening, it's not really happening. Yeah, it's not in our imagination, it's not figment of our, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a specific trend that's been statistically noted, that there is a school to prison pipeline with our young people. However, on the plus side, in our community, there's also been a rise, a growth in black businesses, hence events like this, community unity. So we're seeing a lot more unity within the community. A lot more organizations are working together. Again, through events like this. We're also seeing a rise in natural chemical-free systems. We're also seeing a rise in pride in our culture, especially in our fashion. We're also seeing a rise in the fight against white supremacy racism. So these are the things that are working in our favor, but we still have the challenges that we need to address. So if we can keep these things on the rise and do something to improve those challenges, we can guarantee our future. Now, how can our sisters help rebuild our nation? So some of the statistics that we're working with at the moment is that 53% of African and 47% of black Caribbean women are obese. Black Caribbean, okay, I'm not talking about obese, I'm not talking about the fact that black got good shape. That's not what I'm talking about. Because black people have been on this planet longer than Caucasians. So, because we've been walking on this planet, and this is scientific data, because we've been walking on this planet longer, our buttock muscles are more developed than other races, which is why we have curvier lower halves, and they don't. So that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about obese. And when you see these health trends, where they're trying to make everyone skinny, sisters, don't buy into you need to have a smaller lower half, because that's naturally part of your anatomy. That's why it's easier for us to have more children, because we have hips developed to do so. When I'm talking about obesity, I'm talking about the fact that we're pumping ourselves full of Caucasian food, which doesn't match our body type, which our body can't properly digest, therefore it causes inflammation, which causes an obesity epidemic. And the fat that's found around your stomach area is not just sitting there chilling. It's not just sitting there annoying you, being called love handles. The fat that's around your waist actually produces hormones. And those hormones actually have a negative impact on your health. So when there's this big rise in people saying people should love the body as the way it is, don't make people that are bigger feel bad about themselves, that's not what we're doing in the natural health world. We're trying to protect the health epidemic that's happening. We're encouraging women to not lose the beautiful shape that they've got, but to address the fact that we are holding on to too much weight, and that weight is producing hormones, that weight is producing toxins that our organs of elimination are not built to deal with. And when that toxicity builds up, we end up with epidemic diseases. Does that make sense? Right. We also have Black Caribbean and Bangladeshi women also, and Black African Caribbean children are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than any other race. The Black community is also more likely to be sectioned. So not just medicated, not just asked to come back to the clinic every week, sectioned under the Mental Health Act than any other race. Okay, so what can we do as Black women, and how can we support Black women to make sure that the continued rise of thyroid, diabetes, obesity, childhood allergies, autism and cancer doesn't increase? Now, the vast majority of these conditions can be prevented by helping young girls, young Black girls, because things like diabetes, for example, that's when your body can't handle the ups and downs in your blood sugar levels. Now, children inherit weaknesses and imbalances from their parents. The studies have been done that show that young women who have got diabetes are more likely to pass that on to their children. The obesity epidemic, fat storage, and how efficient your body is at storing fat and utilizing energy in your metabolism, all of those things can get passed on from the mother to the child. So the healthier we can make our young girls before they become mothers, the more likely it is we're not going to have children who are born with obesity and diabetes. Does that make sense? Because we've got 6-month-olds who are obese. So when you're looking at obese people and you're thinking, they're just lazy, they just eat too much, that theory doesn't cut it when you've got a 6-month-old who is obese. Does that make sense? So we need to look beyond personal responsibility. We need, because there are obviously people who eat too much and they don't move enough. That's a given. But that's not the end of it. There is a responsibility for our community, for the people that are giving us our food, for the people that are teaching us about our health, to also take action and also take responsibility and look at our young girls and focus energy at making sure they understand how to eat to live, not just live to eat. Does that make sense? All right. Yes! Good girl. Love it. Okay, next one, please. Okay, how can we rebuild our mental health? Now, again, mental health in the Black community is a big deal, and there's a stigma around mental health. People don't even want to go to their healthcare providers to say that they've got a mental health challenge, that they're feeling upset, that they're feeling anxious, that they're feeling depressed, because it's seen as a weakness. And Black people, we don't like to be seen as weak in any way, shape or form, so we are less likely to go and seek help. Now, mental health challenges can be caused by a number of things. They can be caused by the drugs that we're being pumped with. There are drugs that are masquerading as foods. There's a book called Drugs Masquerading as Foods, written by a guy called Sousa, and that book's been out for about 25 years. SUZAR, drugs masquerading as foods. Those drugs that they're putting in our food, the MSG, the aspartame, the trans fats, they are interfering with our brain chemistry. Once you pop, you can't stop. That wasn't just a catchy slogan. That was the fact that MSG, when you take in MSG, it makes your brain crave more MSG. That's why you can eat a bowl of salad and feel satisfied, but you can eat a plate of burgers and chips and desserts and fizzy drink, and you still look for Viennetta, and you still look for ice cream and hot dogs, because it's not satisfying your body, and the MSG in it is simply making your body crave more MSG. That is why our children are obese, because that's where they're going to eat at lunchtime and after school. Does that make sense? Right, so that's one way that the brain chemistry can be interfered with. But a lot of mental health challenges simply come from the fact that our brains are not being nourished with thoughts. They're not being nourished with love. They're not being nourished with self-confidence and support. So a malnourished mind of our sisters can also lead to the mental health challenges that we have. So if we start feeding positive thoughts to our sisters, if we start feeding self-love to our sisters, if we start feeding self-confidence and self-respect into the thoughts of our young children, never mind people my age, but our young children, they will grow up into young women that don't crave another person's image of beauty and then feel inferior when they can never truly match that other image of beauty that's being promoted to them. Because we already have beauty, but that wasn't spoken into us. When I was little, I wanted to look like Barbie, and I could never quite hit Barbie. I'm light, and I was still too light to be that white Barbie doll with the straight hair. So that created in me feelings of inferiority. And there are a lot of sisters who live with that feeling of inferiority in their appearance, then went on to affect their ability to feel like they were able to achieve things academically, with their work, with their relationships. And then we've got brothers who are going for the real version of what we're trying to look like. And then we're getting upset as sisters, but a lot of sisters, unfortunately, are always pushing them in that direction. Because we're trying to look white, and they go off with the real white girl. They just want the real deal. We're trying to emulate, quite frankly, no offense. And the thing is, that our sisters are being pushed towards that by people that are making money off them, buying straighteners, buying bleaching creams, all of those types of things. And it's a cycle, which is why I'm saying it's not always about just your personal responsibility. Because we can make choices, but we're also being fed thoughts by the media, by people that want to make money from us. And the more that as a community, brothers and sisters, start to feed positive thoughts into the mind of our sisters, it will start drowning out those other messages that we're being fed that are making us feel less than. Yeah? Is that something we can do?
Yeah.
Can we feed positive thoughts into our sisters?
Yes.
Can we teach our sisters self-love?
Yes.
Can we teach our sisters self-confidence?
Yes.
Can we teach our sisters to respect themselves?
Yes.
All right. Because if we heal our sisters, we do what?
Heal our nation.
Heal our sisters.
Heal our nation.
Heal our sisters.
Heal our nation.
All right, thank you. How can we reclaim our children and our men? I heard when I was young that a mother is the thermostat of the house. From when your mother is upset, the house cold. When your mom's happy, oh darling, what do you want? Do you want some ice cream? Let's go to the park, let's play. When your mom's happy, everything's cooked and curry in the house. When your mom's not happy, boy, you want to stay in, you don't even want to stay in your room, you just want to stay in one place. I ain't gonna unless I do something wrong. We can ensure that by building up our women, feeding them positive thoughts, uplifting them, giving them self-confidence, helping them to create the life that gives them happiness, joy, health, and balance, that they can then infuse that energy into their whole family. So when you rebuild a sister with nutrients from Healthy Whole Food, you look like you're really enjoying that food, bro. Big up the kitchen, because this bro is really enjoying his food in the front. No, seriously, big up the kitchen in fact. Sister Kanaya back there. Okay, if we rebuild our sister our sisters. We rebuild our sisters with love and support. So one of the things that's unfortunately happening is a trend towards gossiping. It's a trend towards blaming a whole genre of people for the problems in our nation. The reason why we're mashed up is because black women this. The reason we're mashed up is because black man this, black baby fathers don't do this, black men don't do this. We have to stop that. Like, we can't even entertain it. Like the brother said, when he leaves his house, he just wants to make it home safe, and he's ducking and diving to make sure he doesn't get hit with no negativity. And we need to be, now you can address negativity if that's in your remit to do so, but what you can do is challenge gossip, challenge the negative perceptions that are being pushed out there about our brothers and sisters. You can rebuild our sisters by giving them the time and space to grow. We can rebuild our sisters by giving them confidence and expectation. Now, when I say expectation, I mean when there's a little white boy, a little Asian boy, a little Jewish boy, from the time they can walk and talk, their parents are telling them what they expect from them. You are going to get an A, you are going to attend college, you're going to ace it, then you're going to get a degree, you're going to get a first, then you're going to get the best job. If you're going to open a business, you're going to be the most successful. Those are the expectations that are pushed onto that child. We don't have expectations pushed onto us, and unfortunately, the expectations that normally get pushed onto us are that of you will be a great sportsman, or you'll open a hair salon, or you'll be a barber, or you'll do something physical with your body. And not that there's anything wrong with those professions, because we are the best at those things as well, quite frankly. But we're not expected to succeed in anything academic, when we do have more expectations of our women. And again, black people don't like being told what to do. So if you've got a sister, you know there's a sister that could be doing more with her life. She just needs some confidence, she just needs some encouragement, and you offer that word of advice. Some black people will take offense to you speaking positivity and speaking encouragement into them. Don't let that stop you. As long as you're not doing it in a negative, judgmental way. Always be the ones that inspires confidence and has expectations of our sisters. You can do this with your siblings, you can do this with your own children, you can do this with your grandchildren, you can do this with your nephews and nieces. In any way, shape or form, we need to start that trend of having expectations of our young and letting them know we expect greatness from you. It's not that we would like you to do well in school. You better do well in school, because that's what's expected of you, quite frankly. When my children go to karate competitions, I'm asking them in the car, are you getting a bronze, silver or gold? Because if not, you simply ain't getting back in the car. That's about the strength of it. You might have to run the whole competition again until you get one of those medals. And my daughters know when they go to a competition, they're coming back with gold, silver or bronze. I even asked one of my daughters, which medal do you want to get? She said bronze. I said, why do you want bronze? She goes, I've already won gold and silver and I quite like the bronze medal. She won bronze on that day because they know they are expected to succeed. I was never expected to succeed. In fact, one of the voices, and we all have these voices in our head from young, one of the messages that I had pumped into me is, Leah, are you stupid or you don't have a brain? That was what I had in my brain for a long time. And it's like, hold on. So it's not that I made a mistake, or you are either stupid or you don't have, which one was I meant to choose from? You know, if you choose one of them, you're going to get in trouble anyway. Those are the messages, unfortunately, we have pumped into our brain. Now, we have the opportunity to redo that now with our children. And it doesn't necessarily need to be with your children. It can be with anyone around you, because sisters, we've got girlfriends who will always gossip to us. Am I lying? We all know some sister who, the moment she gets on the phone with you, you know she's going to gossip. And again, that is messages fed to us. Because when we're watching programs on TV, that's what we see people doing, girls sitting around and gossiping. So we want to emulate that, but we don't need to make that our reality, do we? Because we are a black royal family, aren't we? Right, so when we sit down with our sisters, we can decide the tone of that conversation and make it one about building, inspiring, and bringing confidence into the person that you're talking to. Is that something we can do? All right. Now, good old integration. Integration is something that we are suffering the effects from, quite frankly. Sorry? Thought I was in trouble. Integration has led to an increase in disease, and I'm talking about those mental diseases that I was just talking about, where we've been fed images of beauty. We've been fed aspirations that don't even match our cultural and our genetic blueprint. But it's also created what's called a global industrialized diet, which means that food corporations know that if they package a food properly, they can sit it on the shelf in London, Paris, Rome, Jamaica, Accra, and New York. Because that food sits on the shelf, it's got no real shelf life, it's full of preservatives, it's full of sugar, it's full of trans fats, it's full of MSG. So all around the world, even in the most remote countries, our people are suffering from illnesses based on this global industrialized diet. The Swiss have got an expression that says, the only vegetarians here are the sheep. In Switzerland, they eat dairy, eggs, meat, chicken, all day, every single day, and they are super healthy because that is what suits their biology. The East Indians, they have a mainly vegetarian diet, and that suits their biology. Now, Africans, people of African Caribbean descent, when we eat a diet of tropical foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, our natural oils, like coconut oil and palm oil that they try to demonize, when we stick to our cultural diet, we are healthy. Integration, this global industrialized diet, that is what's caused our physical illness. So there's 5 ways that as sisters we can, and that as a community we can support our sisters' holistic health. So sisters, we can focus on eating a diet rich in cultural foods and water. We can harness the power of herbs. So we've got the brother Stephen Starley here. Can you put your hand up, Stephen Starley, so everyone knows who you are? Big round of applause for Stephen Starley, son of Dr. Starley, creator of Mariandina Health Products. And like I was just saying, there's a tailored diet that works for cultures. And Stephen Starley and his father's products are ones that were tested on our people. Now, not centuries ago, at the beginning of the last century, most of the pharmaceutical drugs that were created that we are still taking variants of today were tested on young Caucasian college students. So when a drug was created, they need someone to test this drug on normally. So those group of people needed a quick buck and they were available. So a lot of pharmaceuticals were tested on young white boys, and when it worked on young white boys, they then shipped it out to everybody else. So we are using medications and pharmaceutical products that haven't even been tested on us. So we don't know that they work on us. And some of them haven't even been tested at all. And a lot of the procedures that they do on us in hospitals, they haven't even been tested. But the supplements and the health products that Dr. Sali created were made from a lot of the herbs from our country, and they were tested on us. So they are truly our products. If you haven't seen Mariandina's products, then please take a moment to do so and speak to our brother, Stephen Sali. We can also use your food and your herb as your medicine, because like I said, a lot of the medicines that we're using now, the pharmaceutical drugs we're using now, are not even designed for us. And very often, okay, we can put our hands up. Who knows of an older person, an elder in the community, who is not just taking one medication, but at least 5? Now what happens is, they will give you a medication for your high blood pressure. That might cause a side effect, so then they give you a drug for the side effect. Then that drug, those two together might cause another side effect, so you're going to be taking another one for those 2 side effects. And then you're stressed, so they give you one to sleep, and then you're anxious, so they give you one for the anxiety. So now you're taking 5. Who knows of an elder who has come off a maintenance dose medication? Doctors will tell you, okay, you need to take the higher levels of this medication to help you get over the big troubling symptoms. Then they keep you on what's called a maintenance dose. They basically never take you off the maintenance dose unless something drastic happens. So you become a lifelong customer. And that is almost the expectation of a lot of older people, is that one day I'm going to end up carrying around a bag of pills. And that doesn't need to be the case. If we focus on a water-rich cultural diet, we harness the power of herbs, and we use our food and our herb as our medicine, that will be enough to maintain and improve our health. And again, ensure that we can fortify our women so that when we're having children who have come through a healthy body, therefore they have a better chance of health as well. So even the way that we're having children, when you have a woman that goes into labour, the best way for that baby to come out is through the vaginal canal. Because when the baby comes through the vaginal canal, they get coated with the secretions of the child, including the friendly bacteria that help boost that child's immune system. When they quickly want to put you in an unsuitable position to have a baby, like on your back, instead of squatting where gravity can help you, and then the baby's struggling, and then they're quick to cut you open and give you a C-section, which you then take 2 weeks to recover from, and you're then taking pharmaceuticals again to get over the pain, and you can't bond with your child properly because you're in so much pain. All of that could have been avoided if we had stuck to our water-rich cultural diet, if we relied on and harnessed the power of herbs, if we used our food as our medicine, and we stuck to our cultural practices. The last thing another thing that we can do is speak power into our sisters, which I've spoken about, and find guidance from our ancestors. Thank you, brother. Now, what did our ancestors do to keep them so strong and healthy? They ate seasonal, organic, and local. They rarely ate processed sugars, and when they did eat sugars, it came from fruit and honey. And unless you wanted to get yammered by bees, they didn't even really go to the honey too tough. They would more rely on the fresh fruits and vegetables. Because honey didn't come in a jar. You had to fight hornets and bees. You had to go find a beehive to get a piece of honey. It wasn't just stacked on the shelves like that, going £2 for £3. Our ancestors also got plenty of fresh air. We would typically be outside under the sun for 9 to 12 hours a day. We had plenty of physical exercise, and most of our foods were raw or cooked slightly, and we always had periods of fasting. But again, that global industrialized diet means that it's not even a 7-Eleven shop anymore. It's now a 24-hour-a-day shop. Anytime you're feeling hungry, you got the munchies, your boyfriend dumped you, your girlfriend's vexing you, you just feel like a bite, you have to watch some sport, you want to do some homework, you're about to go on Facebook, you know it's going to take 3 hours, so you need some snacks, you need to go get a power drink shake because you're going to the gym and you want to look hedge. For every single given reason, you can find yourself in Tesco's 24 hours a day buying some cheap food. And even if we can't control anything else, your children are being bad-minded, your boss is giving you problems at work, your teachers are stressing you out about an assignment, you don't even know what you're doing with your own life. As long as you've got £1 in your pocket, you can go buy a packet of crisps or some apple pie. Am I lying? So food is always around us. We never have the chance to fast ever. Ever. Even when we see fasting as a punishment, like, well, I'm punishing myself, I haven't eaten since 12 and it's 1. But our ancestors would go through intentional periods of fasting to give their internal organs of digestion a break. It gives your immune system a boost. It allows cellular regeneration to happen at a more expedited rate when you give your body a break from eating food. Now, a small selection of the cultural superfoods that we used to enjoy, that we still have access to, thankfully, that we can use to nourish ourselves, our sisters in particular, is coconut, papaya, pineapple, soursop tea, dandelion, hemp. And by the way, if we had access to hemp, if we cornered the hemp market, we would all be millionaires, because there's basically nothing you can't make with hemp. Do you guys know about hemp? Yeah. Right, hemp is the one. It's not just every bun, it's everything. Sorry? You know what, I don't know the specifics, but I've heard there's a sister called Deborah Searchwell from Natural November, and she's done a whole course on hemp. There's over 60 different uses of hemp. You can do everything with hemp, from make clothes, beds, paper, ink, paint. You can make the protein powders with it. You can eat the seeds as a essential fatty acid and a mineral source. There's so many, and the cannabis that you don't burn and smoke, that you actually use medicinally. Because remember, they were locking up our brothers left, right, and centre for cannabis. Now there's people making hundreds of thousands of it because now they've decided it's legal, but our brothers are still locked up in prison because of it. Cannabis oil can be used to cure certain types of cancer, and it's been found to be more effective than a lot of chemotherapy drugs. That's all I really know about hemp. I don't know that much about it. Avocado, oh yeah. Sis! Oh, greetings!
Henry Ford had a car made from hemp entirely and run on hemp.
Wow, the sister said Henry Ford had a car made from hemp entirely and was run on hemp. Wonderful. Okay, mango, kale, walnuts, Brazil nuts, elderberries, bone broth, fish tea, dark red and purple fruits, sea moss and Irish moss. That's a small selection of fruits and vegetables that we used to use, which meant that our ancestors didn't suffer from the problems that we suffer from now. Thank you, brother. Now, one of my sayings is that maintaining your health again, both mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, is easier than regaining and repairing your health. So I've had to do probably years of personal development work to undo the damage that was done as a child to me mentally. From the things that my parents said, the things that the teachers said, the things I was subjected to visually, audially, in all of those types of ways, years. And one thing I know I can do with my children is ensure that I can maintain their mental health instead of trying to repair it later on. And Frederick Douglass said it's easier to build strong boys than to repair broken men. And I would say the same goes for our women as well. Sorry, can we just, it was Frederick Douglass, wasn't it? Yes, all right, I got that right, because that would have been embarrassing. Sorry. Another one of my sayings is, complaining is draining, solving is evolving. So one of the things, again, we're very good at is having long reasoning sessions with each other that don't actually come up with solutions, and complaining about things. When again, all the power you need, all the help you need can be found at the end of your own arm. Thank you, brother. Again, you can find me and the work that I do, the books that I sell, etc. at naturallyyoucoach.com. Today, I've got 2 of my books with me, and also the first fitness magazine that was created by a black brother in this country last year. That's available with me today. Thank you very much for listening to me. Take care, be bold, stay healthy, speak to you soon. Oh, yeah. Do you have some questions? Okay. Yes, anyone have any questions, please?
Not one single person has a single question. In fact,
Greetings, James. Thank you so much for a very powerful talk, and thank you for raising awareness.
Thank you very much.
And I also want to congratulate your books because they're very good and they are. One thing I want to ask you, we're seeing a lot of our brothers having challenges with what we call prostate issues, and our sisters having challenges with fibroids. Is there any light to show why the trend is heavily on us black people like that?
Okay. Again, I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. In saying that those 2 particular conditions are affecting our reproductive organs. And there does seem to be a concentrated effort in reducing our population numbers. I mean, we've even seen Bill Gates and those kind of people saying that that's one of the things they want to do is reduce our numbers. Have I spoken too much?
Oh, the power's gone out. Too much.
Yeah, I think, it's been said, it's quite commonly known that they want to reduce our population numbers. In Europe, they're struggling to have...
Oh, okay. Just turn it down. Nah, if you turn it down, it's just the...
Can you not hear me?
Yeah.
So it's already been, in Europe, they've stopped having children. They're struggling to have children. But out in other countries, they're having to do things to reduce our population numbers. And things like fibroids and things like prostate cancer are 2 things that are affecting our reproductive abilities. Now, again, things like the hair products that we're being encouraged to use. Yeah. The hair... Sorry. Greetings. Yeah, the hair products that we're being encouraged to use, so the perm kits, the chemicals in those have been linked to the increase in fibroids that we're having. Hormones, like the hormones found in soya products. So before, soya was created to feed cattle. Then they found that it was easy to put it into the human food trend. Now it was being praised as a health food, and that's actually one of the things that I lived on as a teenager when I developed my menstrual condition, where I was bleeding twice a month. And I was eating soya for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because I decided I wanted to become vegetarian, and I was told if you're going to be vegetarian, you need Chinese food. It's also called a meat tenderizer. So when you see meat tenderizer, then that can also be MSG. Yeah.
And the E number 61.
Thank you. It's E number 621. So when you're looking at the E numbers on foods, it will be under that. So I've seen it in Italian herb mix. It's in the vast majority of sauces, almost all of the flavoured crisps. So one of my weaknesses is ready salted crisps. That's because all the other crisps have, almost all of them have got ready salted, have got MSG in them, a flavour enhancer in them. Even soy sauce, again, the Chinese food, loaded with MSG. Greetings, brother.
Yeah, greetings, saints. Don't you think it's kind of wise for us to be, see that we're dealing with prostate cancer? Don't you think it's wise for us to be using prostate health instead of cancer? Okay? And what I mean by that is, cancer, all these words like AIDS, cancer, they're all patented words. They are business names. You see? And when we use these words, what we do, we actually manifest that energy to that business and make that business last forever. So if we do this, that we want to talk about prostate challenges, we use things like prostate health, how to actually get nutrition into the prostate so that you don't have to go through that, or how to get nutrition into your womb so that you don't have to suffer from fibroid. Because all these things are all patented words, they are marketing names. So we need to be very aware of it.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree that before the condition arises, we focus on, because that, what the brother said is a very good point. We will normally talk about something when it's here, instead of prevention. Prevention being better than cure. Maintain your health instead of having to repair your health. However, when somebody has fibroids, we have to be very real about it and say, you've got fibroids, you need to do something about it. Because there's again, just with the mental health thing, people don't want to talk about the challenges they have and mask them with enough pharmaceuticals so that they can live their life without addressing and making the difficult changes that are needed to bring their health about. But before the challenge comes, we definitely need to be spending more time talking about prostate health, womb health, those types of things. But when it's here, we need to be aggressive and deal with it. Because if we knew that there was a wild pack of dogs running up the road towards us, we're not going to sit here like, let's just talk about the safety of this room. We're going to be like, we need to go out there, we need to attack that before it gets here. So we need to do both and not just focus on one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Sorry, some more questions? Sorry, greetings, brother. Would like to reply?
Yeah, greetings. How are you?
Greetings.
Very lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
Bitter herbs. One of the things that we don't talk about much is bitter herb, because most of us are really, from the Western diet, are more into the sweet diet.
Yeah.
And it's the bitter stuff that really cleanses the blood and cleanses the body. We don't talk much about the different bitter herbs that are very good, especially for the young people. Because we are taste buds that come on off the record in terms of sweetness as opposed to bitterness. And the old people always say, really, it's the bitter stuff that heals the blood. And so it's important for us to start really, especially for those who have sweet tooth, it's also to balance that with the bitter, because the bitter itself is sweet to the body. The taste might not be good in the way you relax things, but the bitter stuff is what's good for the body. And so it's the best way to address it, the sweet versus the bitter.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely day. Take care.
Rise up here, Salmon, one more time. And just to test your listening skills, Leah Salmon left with an affirmation I quite like. Heal our sisters.
Heal our nation.
What? Heal our sisters.
Heal our nation.
Yeah! I'm a firm believer in that. Why? Because if you look into our ancient history, as Leah did say, we did hold our sisters in very high esteem because we understood the power of the feminine and the masculine together as one. So when I walk along, Joe Dash earlier said, right, we're never without the queen. And it's so true because why? I'm odd without her. When there's two of us, I'm even. So, with that said, there's another powerful queen coming up to deliver a brilliant presentation. She's in the education system, an education warrior, and basically the Nubian Ministry of Sound. Sound powerful, right?
Yeah.
Nubian Ministry of Sound. So, that said, can we give a rising
afternoon. Is it on? So, turn it up a little bit.
Right, thank you. Right, this afternoon I would like to put across the concept of a Nubian Ministry of Education. And I make no apologies whatsoever for the use of the word union. Now I've been in education for 27 years, and I'm happily retired, so I've got time to make history as far as the party is concerned. And what I've noticed over the last few years, as a matter of fact, in 2012, when I applied for the third time for a free school, and the Department of Education wrote on the reason for rejection that they did not grant the free school because it wasn't the local community they suspected, it was the black community. The proposals in African and Caribbean, and all their mentors are black, without having any information from mentors, they turned it into a black and white issue. Now, as teachers, we go into the profession to make a difference. And it makes no difference whether you're black, white, brown, sky blue, pink. If you come into my classroom, I'll teach you. But what I've noticed, particularly over the last 10 years, is the number of black children, particularly black boys, and I spent most of my teaching career, all of it, in challenging schools. Most of it in boys only. So I'm very comfortable with boys only. I don't know anything. I know what motivates them, and I know how to keep them challenged. It comes from experience. I've got one son, and I can't keep him on his toes. He's 30 next week, but I still keep him on his toes. What's been quite uplifting sitting here this afternoon is coming on the backs, if you like, of young people, young enough to be my own children, who are so focused. It's funny listening to you, some of the things that you said is the way I live. I don't ever allow negativity to follow me or to touch my life. And sometimes I wonder if I'm okay in heaven because everything else around me is going on and I'm actually fine. Nothing. But I am concerned, and I think as long as my brain works, I am going to be concerned about education and how it impacts on young people. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start my own school was I was working at a boys' school in Croydon. And I was concerned about the amount of boys who were leaving every single year. Insufficient skills to get them into the world of work. And that is still happening. Now we've got awareness with the Black Child Agenda, we've got the Manhood Academy, we've got East Side, West Side, South Side, and everything else going on around. And there are pockets of excellence anywhere. But I think one of the things that the Department of Education will come back is, well, who's knitting it together? When you're isolated, you stand a chance to be targeted. Now, even though I went through Ofsted, my school was approved, I had the Department of Education blessing to carry on my school, the local authority, right here in Lewisham, came in with two hench people and decided they would close my school because I offered the children too much care and education. And they threw those children out on Tuesday nights and said, oh, the local authority will find alternative places. 13 months down the line, those children are still out of school. They have had no form of education. They haven't even had the decency to offer them home tuition. So this is the period of the thought, but I'll discuss that at a later stage. Because I was ready to crucify personally for me. together an idea which I hope that each one of you here will buy into and take it out into the wider community. And I've got some contact forms, etc., for the Union Ministry of Education, meeting the needs of the Black community in the United Kingdom. Right, now what I've got here are actual words from headlines taken in the last month of what the current system is all about. And these are actually word for word, not my words, unfortunately. These are headlines from The Guardian and The Independent, predominantly. Heads having to face the choose between sacking teachers or cutting curriculum to save money. Nearly half teachers struggling with mental health, suggests survey. 8 ways school is making children stupid and depressed. Primary interim right assessment framework belongs to the shred. In other words, we've got these politicians who have a notion, and they don't consult with those people who know what they're talking about. So they come up with these weird ideas, and they're never going to work, and they try to push it through, and every year they're expecting teachers to retrain and make their fantasies come true. And that's not going to work. Right, the farce continues. Government spending millions on free schools while existing schools crumble. Now, Theresa May announced a few weeks ago that she's reserved £363 million to open 500 free schools by 2020. And yet we've got schools up and down the country where they have not enough books. Every school that I have gone into, I have had to take in my own resources. I worked in a school in Acton a couple of years ago. I had to take everything from dictionaries, reading books, everything else. The shopping trolley I was taking it because there was nothing. You got to give them, well, okay, you're taking this stuff, you can't even expect to give pen, pencils, rulers, etc. because that's what the system tells you. The children that I teach, you have to buy them because when you go out there into the real world, nobody's going to give you anything. You need to get a sense of responsibility and know that the things that they want, you've got to earn it and take care of it. When it just hands it to them, it means nothing. Government has no plan to tackle worsening teacher shortages. The government has forgotten that schools need a basic level of funding and futurist need. Educational psychologists are stripped from schools. Now, this is the last set of stupidity by this government. I think so. It's not really needed. Now, I was awarded a child by the courts in November 2014, whose parents take the local authority to the tribunal. Quite a long story. The judge asked that I educate that child at my home for the rest of year 6 and into year 7 of my school. So that was a court order that I took through. Today that child has nothing. That's a different story. Now, he was assessed by an educational psychologist at his local authority placement prior to coming to me. And then she assessed him in February 2015 at my dining table and found that in 5 months he had made 2 years' progress. So how does this affect our children? Now, for any of you here who've got children in mainstream schools may be able to identify with the first bullet point. Education in mainstream schools alienates many of our children. You've got a one-size-fits-all approach to the curriculum, and while it may suit some, it doesn't suit everybody. I remember when I was at the school in Croydon, the boys' school in Croydon, and that's really the satisfaction really eaten for me. And I went to the head teacher and I said, right, we've got a DT room that's spare. Why don't we strip it out, get someone from Croydon College to come in and teach the boys, mechanical engineering, something or the other. So that because boys need a more hand-on approach. We wanted to be kept on losing kids. And you notice that by the time they get to year 11, they're both on their feet. So you might have full ones because, and I don't blame them. I prefer to say, I left school with nothing because I wasn't there. Not because I left school with nothing and I came out with a fistful of cheese. I prefer not to be there, so I didn't blame them. And until that system is remedied, it is going to continue. The schools are too large the dining rooms, they're using the playgrounds, the porta cabins, and there's nowhere for these children to play, and they haven't really increased the amount of staff with them. So you've got huge class sizes. We've got a school right here in Lewisham, a primary school, with a year 6 class of over 40 children. That's not a class of crowd. And you expect children to be able to function in a class of 40. Resources are too few, and more so to government cuts in funding. And most importantly, too many black children are excluded from schools, condemned to crews where they face violence on a daily basis. Now, I can live with the crews that are right here in this local authority. Because when parents, I had around my dining table from January of 2015, and I took those children with me Key Stage 4. And even though when I started my school, the vision was to have Key Stage 4 until the Key Stage 3 grew into it. But giving up those children was not an option. So we got them into Lewisham College last September. Even though Lewisham College doesn't do GCSEs, you have a boy doing business, girls doing sport, following the same sort of pathway that they were doing in my school. They separated, and in December, Mom got a letter from the college to say that they couldn't return in January because there was no funding. The funding was sent to the crew. And an appointment had been made for Mom to meet with the principal of the crew. When Mom turned up, there was a mega fight going on in there where every pupil was fighting everybody else. Windows were broken, police were there, furniture being thrown across, and to protect her Mom, she was pushed in the room while the principal tried to restore order and couldn't. And she said, so you took my children out of school where they were safe. You took them out of college where they just settled in, and you want my children to come here. She showed me a letter sent to her by Lewisham subsequently after she walked out, threatening to fine her £2,500 if she didn't send her children to the crew. She said they'll have to fine her. She's not paying, and they're not going. So those children are told. Okay, move on. Why? Children from crews face stigmatization well into adulthood. Now, if you're applying for a job, very often your CV precedes you. And as soon as they see crew, they have an image of anybody who goes to a crew, you must be a bad person. We don't want that here.
Excuse me, what is a crew?
Oh, sorry, a pupil referral unit. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, support for our children in their educational, emotional, and cultural needs is lacking. Because when you go into schools, there are very few black people at the issue level. I worked in an independent school, and when I was, for a brief period of time, a few years ago, and there was an acting black deputy head who was very good. They appointed, they appointed a white woman to the post without telling her anything, and then told her, we appointed someone to your post. She's going to come on Friday for around. I'd like you to be nice to her. So that just gives you a flavor as to this real situation that goes on in schools. With no positive educational experiences, lack of knowledge as to where to get help, the cycle starts again as parents put their own children back into a system that failed them in the first place. Now, a lot of parents that I deal with were either born here, because I'm quite old, I'm pensioning out. They were born here and they didn't have positive experiences of school. I don't know what school was like in the 1960s and 70s in this country. I was happily educated in Guyana. But some of those who came from the Caribbean and from Guyana had a completely different experience. And when they come into these schools, a lot of parents feel quite alienated. And certainly if you came up in the Caribbean, you know what this is so. We call it. And so they don't have, the school is somewhere that they fair. They send their children to be educated, they fair see don't really turn out. Because they're tired of hearing negative things about their children, and they're also scared. Because when you get them on the one-to-one, they're scared of what they'll hear. And it's also for them, it heightens their feeling of failure. The thing that they fail their children, some of them feel that they fail themselves and see the cycle starting all over again. Okay, so why the Nubian need for the Nubian Ministry of Education? First of all, the needs of the black community in the United Kingdom related to education has to be addressed. It has to be addressed through the people who teach them, the content of their education. It has to be addressed through mentoring, effective mentoring, and I'll come to that later on. The DFE has made it quite clear in writing to me that they do not recognize elective home education, and they've been known to reject applications to schools where the applicants are black. And while in pockets of excellence around the community, isolation still exists. You know, I think of the good things that are going on, the supplementary schools, the various different academies that operate in the weekend. And then on Monday, the children go back to the mainstream. And it just undoes everything, or most of it, because they have got to bow to peer pressure, and some of them will play to an audience. They go into school and they're all actors, and I can sit down and stop them within 2 seconds. And they're all acting out a role. And then you've got to do the same thing all over again on Saturday. And those who are isolated risk being targeted by the powers that be. There's also the danger of a whole generation of young people who will not be fit for employment. Because those young people are either those that they exclude from schools permanently, and it's notorious and has been known for years that a lot of young, particularly boys, are kicked out of school at this time of the year just before their GCSE. As a matter of fact, end of December, that's the danger zone. End of December to Easter, the danger zone where lots of young girls disappear altogether, because on February they have to send in the examination entries. So those children disappear off the scene. So that when you go to school, it's just, we've had 85% of their start to see. Wonderful. Those children are not part of it. So they're only dealing with those that they feel will give them the results. The fact that they failed those children is neither here nor there. So how will this Nubian Ministry of Education work? Now, when the DFE wrote to me and said that they didn't recognize elective home education because of hallelujah moment for great stuff, that Jesus, we get many prayers there. I mean, now, of course, the wise men are thinking of perhaps we need to register home educated children. If you've messed up children in the mainstream, which parent is going to allow you into their home to come and create the same confusion in the kind of school? So what I propose for the ministry to do is to support home educated children and their parents, any background supplementary schools or any day schools or anything who wish to be under this umbrella. Of course, we can't force people to be part of it. Now, I've got loads of resources in every single subject. We will also ensure that children who are home educated have the fiscal resources necessary to support their parents, because with the best will in the world, some parents don't decide, I'm not sending my child to a school, I'm going to home educate. But some parents might be confident in home educate up to primary level. Once they get to secondary school, especially in maths, not everybody can deal with that. What happens to that young person? So if they come under our Ministry of Education, then we have that there. We then will make sure that they are taught by either trained parents or we will send a teacher to teach either on a one-to-one or a group of no more than 5 children who might be a group in the area of the children of similar age and the same year. So that is what we propose. We'll also provide up-to-date training for parents and teachers who register and read well with parents. And we will compile a register of black mentors from diverse squares who have agreed to mentor a maximum of 2 children who share an interest in their profession. Now, the ideas as to what they'd like to be. I went through various things to the age of 12. I want to be this, I want to be that. And then you suddenly realize all that is involved and think, no, this is not for me. If they have got someone who can give them that guidance, with work experience, with work shadowing, then they have a very realistic idea. They can make up their minds quite early, not after they've taken out one or two CSEs and taken the degree and they start, no, this is not for me. So they were mentored by that person. Now, that mentor has to understand that they're the next parent. They're involved with that family for the long haul. They're at the other end of the telephone. If that child is distressed, something's kicking off the home, something's kicking off on the estate, or whatever. That's what the mentor is there for. So it is a big commitment. But unless we put that investment in our community, we will not get it back. There's no point in wishing that our children could do better if we're not prepared to make that investment in their future. So until that is done, so that's our mentors will offer work experience, let's say when they're about 15. Work shadowing can go on from the age of 12, okay, you've got 6 weeks during the holiday. Come into the office, see what I do, see if you like what it is. Look on and see. And at the end of formal education, if you like, education is lifelong, it goes on forever. Our mentors will be instrumental in helping to set up the first work placement. It therefore removes the stress for that young person of having to apply for a job, sending out 100 applications and not too sure whether they get a response, because they know exactly where they go. And we also intend to support that young person if the placement takes place outside of London, because they need to understand that there's a world outside of London. If the placement is in Manchester, for example, we will support that young person for the first 3 months until they get the feet on the table. We've got a lot of children right here in South London who've never even been up to the West End, and they think everything happens to their world, and they need to understand that there's a whole big world that really belongs to everybody, and they're free to go there if they need to, and to open up their horizons as to what else is out there. Now, this next one is something that's very close to my heart, and I think very often for children who are home educated, for example, they lose out on the opportunity for a children's leadership course where they can meet together and they can, it's all about leadership training and providing those forums for them. And also Black creative schools where they can discuss issues that affect them and also have a possible solution. But not only that, through the mentoring and the facilitators is to train them in how to deal with problems. Because as you go through life, there are going to be problems. I don't think there's anybody who can say, I'm talking like absolutely nothing's going to happen. It's teaching them the right way how to deal with it. Next slide. The ministry will also be responsible for the distribution of resources, which will be hired out to parents and other educators and turned out to use so that they can be used together. It also removes the strain of parents having to think, especially parents who now start thinking of the idea of homeschooling their children, but then we provide resources. And we should use them. We decide what we want to teach the children, and we provide resources. And also provide cultural and educational opportunities for home educated children with decent course. And on the big tree, we can't force people to be part of something they don't want to be. What we also propose is an encourage an Afrocentric curriculum which will be evident in its approach to teaching English, maths, dance, history, going to Catford to open a bank account because every single child in school must have a bank account. We need to teach our young people the importance of saving. When we went into the Halifax Festival, they kept us standing up for 20 minutes or something to be around, so we walked out today. We went over to Barclays, and Barclays actually typically come back in 3 months. Crossed over the road, went to HSBC, there was nobody there to see us. And so we went into, it's not here, we went into NatWest, and that's where I was able to go. And I said to people, this is right, we need to have our own. So what I propose, and I want to set that up by the end of this year, we will have the enterprise line of 20 million, and the logo is exactly the same in the school, and we will take it through a network of teachers into every school across the capital and eventually across the country. That at the end of every month, we each start money for 10p, that's fine, because by the time they're 18, that 10p will go. Now, more importantly, for in my school, once the child is enrolled into the older siblings and parents also have the same access to mentors and training, etc. For the children under the age of 16, there is no withdrawals. It's a complete savings account, and they will be able to check online every 3 months to see how the interest is going on. But what we propose after 2 years is to be able to offer microloans up to £500 to either parents or older siblings. So that they can cheapen them an overdraft, and using credit cards. So, that's the vision, that we will have our own, and they will be able to save. So when we either 16 or 18, then they are there on boats or whatever, they can give, so they can get on with their life. But by this time, we will build up a culture of saving that hopefully will save them for the rest of their life. Okay, so what can we do now? If there are any parents here who feel that you would benefit from the Regional Ministry of Education, I've got some sheets which I will leave out in a minute. If you put your contact details, then I'll get back to you. If there are any teachers and parents who feel, and when I say teacher, I don't necessarily mean teacher with qualified teacher status. If you don't put maths at a level that I don't understand, for example, you can teach a couple of children maths, then please give me your contact details, the phase of your primary, secondary, or every. I also need teacher because I would like to provide an online education which is Afrocentric, which parents can access from home from the time the child is 3 years old. So I need to be those teachers who are interested in developing their subject with an Afrocentric slant, so that you can have that as a subscribe. And of course, any mentors, if there are any mentors in here who would like to undertake a minimum or maximum share of 2 children over a long period, please leave your contact details and I'll get back on to you. Because then I've got the time and I intend to be quite specific. Thank you.
I have one.
Nubian Academy, is it?
Nubian Ministry of
Nubian
Education.
Ministry of Education. This is what we need, yes? Very good. I'm a father of 8 children, and I think it's for the grammar school, meaning they're younger. And what the question I want to ask you, have you looked into the whole thing of what is called post-traumatic slave syndrome? Have you looked into that as part of your
I didn't get the last bit, sorry.
post-traumatic slave syndrome
Okay, yeah.
as part of your curriculum for teaching your young people? Now I'm asking you, have you looked into that?
I'm not quite sure what to answer that one. I think
Post-traumatic slave syndrome was documented by Joy Airy and the psychology of it. The children that come from the other side, from the spirit world, with certain trauma that is continued.
So how do you...
I'm asking you, have you looked into that as part of
I've been on a personal spiritual journey for the last 10 years. It happened at the time when my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. I mean, she subsequently died, but I needed to be comfortable with what was happening that I couldn't prevent. And I've been on a spiritual journey, taking my family with me, which is completely erase any fear of death. The life goes on. We know that as each one of us here are having a spiritual experience. So that when I actually do mindfulness sessions, and I did in school, and I hope that we have mindfulness sessions.
I understand that side. I know that you understand your part. I'm just asking about the documentary. Anyway, the reason why I asked you that, because I have a daughter, which is my third daughter, and actually she don't like school. Not that she's not educated, she doesn't like school, and I think one of the issues that she's facing with is that whole post-traumatic syndrome. She is bright in that sense of children are bright, but the way how the education system is slanted. Anyway, we could talk more. I would like to offer my service in some way in help with what you're doing in terms of the creative side. Okay, that's something that we'll talk about later. Yeah? Respect.
Greetings, my sister. It's not so much a question, okay, just a thought to follow some of the things that you're saying. One of the things I've picked up today is that there's a commonality to what's going on from the first stage all the way to the citrine over there. So I want to say something that the citrine said in conviction to education. 35 years I've been in and out, all the referral units in Greenwich, the Borough of Greenwich. 35 years I've been in and out, all of them. My sister said the food, the drink that we eat as mothers sets our children up in the education system. I have tracked many of our children go from the first shop, buy a sugar drink. By the time they get to the school, all right, well, I want to know that's down to our sisters. I've known one particular referral unit is now closed in Lucian, okay, Lamperville. It's called Schoolhouse. I had an exhibition there, the man said to me, we don't teach education here. We go through the mind, and education will follow. The problem is, all our children end up in the referral units because of lack of condition from homes. There is no way my child could go to a referral unit that I don't know about and agree or disagree. When I go home to the schools to work with the parents, I ask them, I say to them, do you know every school have a Bible? I use them for the term, the Bible, the red book, which I'm not saying you people, when you go to education, you will know about the red book. I have a 14-year-old who got sent to a referral unit. 14! The parents don't know about the red book. You know what the red book is? Or the blue book? Yeah? The blue book and the red book is your communication between the school and you as a parent. Whenever your child misbehaves, it goes into a red book or a blue book. Then, forget what the school they call it, okay? But every school has a name for it. That's your communication. So how our 14-year-old can end up in a referral unit and we as parents don't know about it? That's where we need to start. Because as long as our children are going through life like that, education don't matter. We need to clean up their brain and their mind. And this will come away from home first. And that's the commonality I've picked up from here. Okay? So for me, I'm going to try and do what my sister said. And make sure my children, whether they're going to the education system or whatever they're going, okay, their mind is not full of the sugar that is killing them. And that's what I've picked up from here. So thank you very much.
start because Ofsted, I intended to have 24. Ofsted told me no more than 12.
And the system, because it's so right to keep all these children out of education. But if it was the other way around, and the children did go to a school, the parents would be sued. I just want to know why the parents are not suing the education system.
Yes, the parents went to
They're not keeping their children out of the system when they're not educated.
Well, the thing is, to the local authorities, they look at sticking things on their carpet. They know that those children, because they're the ones who put the children out. They've made promises that they can fulfill. And my argument with the local authorities is that they should have had a contingency plan in place. They knew what they were doing. I didn't have a clue. I just turned out to work one morning and they worked. So they had no contingency plan in place. It was just employed to get those children into the program. And it was parents to be serious. Okay, thank you for listening. Sorry.
I'm very critical of Afrikan and Caribbean Wears. I just want to inform you that there is an Afrikan and Caribbean Wears which is going to hold an education conference, and it'll be right up the street, our people's street. Let's remind ourselves that Lewisham, the borough of Lewisham, was caused the death of 9-year-old Prince Javan, by continuously bullying until when his mom stepped in, he thought his mom would receive the same treatment, and he ended his life to solve the problem. Yeah? These are the things that our children are very, very rightfully say. There is a young brother as well. We offer African-centered educational product. There's a website called Medication.com. The brother based here, part of African and Caribbean movement, Shakara. Some of you may know the Shakara. Sometimes he has a store here. Yeah, but he has Afrocentric products where you see like timetables, and he's got African features of educators. All the drawings is done by himself, but it's all representing our people. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we rise up, okay, yes, and whoever is interested, please see Kay Johnson and sign the form. So, yeah, we're going to go into a break, but before that, Brother Ayo and Brother Sako got a quick announcement to make, so